All right, everyone, welcome back into the NONA Sports Show. We are here, and it's a big day, Patrick, because NONA FC has just had its first day, its very first day of training, and so that season is very soon to kick off. But we'll start with some more local news as well. We have Elite 64 action. We've got girls tryouts coming up, and we just had boys tryouts finish up, so we have a lot to talk about there. And then we'll look across the pond to the European semifinal second legs. Lots of action to look forward to there as well, Patrick. So how are you doing, my friend? All ready
good.
to go?
We're ready to go. I've been with you all day already. So
I know. It's never enough. It's
Yeah.
never enough. So it just keeps coming today. It's a lot. But that's, just a sign that the season has started. So we are ready to get going. Let's talk Elite 64.
Yes.
We had a team punch their tickets into the Nationals, Patrick. Our 09 black team getting the win. There was only one win necessary out by Oceanside, California. They got it done. They're coming to Nationals in July, and it's right here in Orlando. So huge news.
Absolutely huge news. Another great opportunity to show the skills that the boys that we have for that 09 black group, what they're capable of. Huge achievement because this is also an extremely hard kind of end of the year tournament.
It's an incredible the level of competition. It does.
Skyrocket.
We talk about Pathway Classic being high level, intense at all times. Elite 64, man, this is like the cream of the crop from all over the country.
Yes.
We beat a team from Illinois. We beat Raiders FC, came from Illinois on penalties. It was 0-0 at the end of full time. 4-2 on penalty kicks. We pushed a team like Indy 11 to penalties at the Pathway Classic. It goes to the wire again. This time, thankfully, we get the win. But especially to get such an intense win like that, I mean, the confidence levels are going to be high.
Of course. I mean, they have the opportunity again to also, travel, play these big games,
That's what it's about.
That could potentially be some of their biggest games that they play in as well. So now they can come back more comfortable at home. They're definitely going to try to take advantage of that as well, being
Absolutely.
local.
We can't forget that our 08 boys black, our 2010 and 2011 teams are also out there. Speaking of, 2010 got a win as well. I mean, we talk about the competition being very high, but 2010 beating FC Deportiva from Arizona. They didn't have to make the long flight from the East Coast, but still, I mean, a 3-1 win in what was, a quarterfinal again. I mean, they keep going because there's games all throughout, right? There's games today on Monday of recording, and there's games on Tuesday as well. So, I mean, it just keeps coming.
Yeah.
I mean, just nonstop over, like I said, in Oceanside, California. If you've been keeping up with our accounts, you will see that Danny's over there taking care of social media for us. So he's doing a good job. He still remembers. Let's talk here at home. Boys tryouts, 4 days of, again, nonstop. Unfortunately, the fourth day was rained out. More or less. It was, not the best weather on the Sunday, but still, lots of fun. You were out there and you saw the just army of kids.
All the groups, and there's 500
It's
kids
crazy.
in each.
It's crazy. All hoping to play in orange.
Yeah, I mean, but it's always a nice time, kind of a fun time to go out. Just to look at, players that are already in the system, new players that haven't been around, obviously. It's fun to kind of see and try to identify who can do what, right?
Well, there's the thing. I always say that this is where coaches earn their money. This is where they have to have their analyzing brain on and their evaluating brain on. Coach Seal is behind me, who agrees with that. But it's not easy. I mean, especially when you have 100+ kids at times.
Very limited time.
Very limited time
as well.
Yeah, and so you have to put them through the drills, but you also have to see them in a game environment, which is tough to replicate because, again, we know the nature of tryouts. It's very chaotic. It's very, all over the place in a good way because all those kids want to prove themselves.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, but I think that's the fun of it.
Of course,
right? That's what
absolutely
makes it fun.
The unique environment of tryouts.
So much going everywhere. Again, just being able to showcase your abilities as well to new coaches that you've never seen before. Maybe you have. It's always just a fun time to kind of go out, see what is going on, and see what new faces will come in the future.
hopefully an improvement from last year. That's always the goal, right?
Yes.
To keep
Yes.
growing, especially with MLS next new tier coming into play for next season. Everyone is even more excited, of the project.
More determined to make a team.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. It makes everything kick up one notch even
100%.
further. Later today, as I said, on Monday night is going to be the girls' tryouts. We can't forget all the years from 2008 to 2011, I believe, will be there. And again, can't forget about the girls. I mean, they have their time to shine tonight. And again, NONA covers everything, and so the girls' program is even just as important, right, to keep developing.
It's gonna keep growing as
Absolutely.
well. More representation, more quality coming into the system as well.
Yes.
And that's what it's all about at the end of the day. Just that inclusion, that creating the sense of community, especially for the girls that we have, the women that we have in Lake Nona. That's what we want. So we're trying to expand on that front as well more and more with each passing season. So
Yes.
it's very important.
2018 to 2012, apologies. They will be out there at Heroes Community Park from 6 to 8. We'll be there covering it all. And it should be a very nice turnout. It should be a very nice event. Of course, we've seen some of our girls' team win at Easter Cup, win at State Cup. We have a lot of talent in our program at the moment, and we hope to find a few more gems tonight at Heroes Community Park. But that about wraps up segment 1. We've got so much more to talk about. Just a little thing of NONA FC starting today. So stay tuned for that.
Turn your pool into paradise with Migaloo Pool Services. At Migaloo Pool Services, we know that your pool is much more than just a recreational space. Strategically situated to serve Lake Nona, St. Cloud, Kissimmee, and Orlando areas, we specialize in pool cleaning, equipment repairs, and pool remodeling, ensuring that your pool is always spotless and functional. We are proud to serve all NONA Soccer Academy customers with personalized discounts and services that adapt to their needs and schedules. Don't leave your pool on the back burner and get with Migaloo Pool Services today, so you can transform your pool into a true paradise. With Migaloo Pool Services, every dive will be an amazing experience.
And just like that, we're back for segment 2, Patrick. And, well, we just came from training. Our first day of the 2025 season got going, and my goodness, how great was it to be back within the semi-pro environment, the NONA FC environment, ahead of our 4th season. The buzz was in the air, man.
Yeah, I mean, everybody looked excited, ready to go. All the coaches, us, of course.
Oh, my gosh,
It was a lot of fun just being able to see these guys, both new and old faces, coming in, just getting their first touches in together as a team, as a collective. I'm super excited for this season coming up.
It can't come enough. Yeah. It can't come soon enough. You just talked about there Christian Kraus, Jamone Barkley, Mason Lamb, Paulo Alves, Pedro Lamedas, just some of the returning boys this from last year. But we have so much new, fresh energy. All of the new boys just seem so enthusiastic, so energetic,
hungry,
and yes, hungry is the perfect word to get things going because they understand the scale of what's going on right here with our local semi-pro team.
Of course, and let's look at USL2 as a whole, right? There's 150, 100?
I believe it's 144 for the 30th year of USL2, which cannot be underestimated.
Yes, so it's a big year in all aspects.
It really is.
Both for NONA and for USL2. I don't think it's an understatement to say that NONA has a really, really good setup here, in this community that we could potentially become, one of the better or the premier clubs in that USL2 landscape.
Absolutely, I agree.
Again, just from looking what I saw in a couple hours, right? We look at the energy, the skills that we saw. This is a very, very, very hungry team, and I think they can do wonders this year.
And so,
not to put any pressure.
But hey, that's what we're here for, right? That's the media's role,
right?
But in all seriousness, I mean, we also see the academy players,
of course,
like Ansel, like Andre, who were there. We have more kind of filtering in. Of course, a lot of them are in California at the moment. But, I mean, once those boys get into this environment, their level is going to immediately skyrocket.
Because that's why they have to be
It's contagious.
By, of course. Yeah,
yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Contagious is the right word. Yes.
Absolutely. First day of training, like we said, we had not all of our coaches, of course, Bruno and Vinny, out on the West Coast. But, again, we have Coach Carlitos, Coach Donovan, coming in, helping out, and that just shows that the academy feeds straight into the semi-pro team. They're not separate by any means.
Not just on a player level, but on a coaching level.
Absolutely.
Yes.
100%. We have a friendly against Current FC. It will be behind closed doors mainly, but we're playing one of UPSL's newest teams. But also one of the best teams as well. They won some silverware last year in the UPSL from New Smyrna Beach. You have to look it up on the map. Now you're more familiarized. But a brand new club going straight into it and proving themselves.
Yeah, and this is going to be a very interesting matchup because it's also the first time we really get to see this new/old group, right, merge together on the pitch and see how they can connect and what their chemistry looks like for this first outing. Because our first league game, our first USL 2 game is next week.
Yes.
But our first test, the main focus is, of course, handling business with Current.
Yeah, with Current at home. We will be just 5 minutes down the road at Austin Tyndall, testing everything out, making sure everything is set. Like you said, Brevard, at home on the 14th to kick off our USL 2 season. But just looking at USL 2 overall, the first games did kick off out on the West Coast again. I believe it was Coachella against SoCal. But isn't that just incredible? Like, to be part of, because, again, it's USL, part of the pyramid. Yeah. To be a part of that, I mean, it's just, the excitement is like a different, it's a different type of thing, just to to regular play. I mean, USL 2, once it comes around, I texted you yesterday, I believe it was. We just said it was 50 days away. Then we said it was a month. Then we said it was 2 weeks. It felt like that flew by.
Now we're almost a week. Almost a week from the first official game. And we already got started with training and all that. All the guys that are coming in, they're moving into their respective apartments. Yep. It's getting crazy, but
everyone's
this is what we
settling
love,
in.
This is what we love, and this is what's going to be super exciting for the next couple months as well.
And we can't forget kits also getting announced soon. Yes. We did have a sneak peek, and I can tell you that we won't disappoint you this year. They look beautiful. I won't talk about the inspiration because it'll give it away, but I'll talk about it after, and we'll have them right here to show it off to you guys. But again, from training, what stood out to you mostly? Was it that collectiveness? Was it that family atmosphere?
I loved how serious everybody was taking. Yeah, of course, it was still like, that friendly family atmosphere, but they're still very competitive because they understand that this is a very demanding level. Even still, even though it's just semi-pro, amateur, but you have to look at the games, the quality of those games as well, the players that play in these kinds of games in USL 2. We're looking at, academy guys as well as college level players, but these college level players are usually, players that have won titles, championships with their respective schools. So we're playing with pretty high level stuff already. And I mean, the step up is just very, 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 I think, to me at least, apparent when you look at just the youth academy level, which is why I'm so excited that we can bring up these guys from the academy, throw them into this mix of people like, hey, this is the environment that you have the potential to be in. This is where we want you to be at. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's the biggest takeaway, that these guys look like they want it.
And you know what? Yes, 100%. And it's day one, and it looked like they'd been playing for a couple weeks.
Exactly. They've already had been practicing together. Of course, some of them, know each other, blah, 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 whatever. But this is, like you said, just day one. And we still have how many more weeks to go?
I mean, it's insane.
You can only imagine how this group looks halfway through the season, end of the season as well.
And I think there's also a sense of satisfaction as well from the backroom staff, from us.
I believe so.
That, we've been, anticipating this and planning for months in advance, and to finally have, the group of boys, although it's not all of them, although it's not the full coaching staff, but still, to have gone onto the pitch for the first time in the 2025 season, that's just kind of like, a chance to pat ourselves on the back as well, because so much goes into making sure everything is set, just the minute things as well, having the uniforms ready, having this, and, having everything as a complete package together, from moving the things into the apartments, right? I mean, all of it goes in, stuff that, usually the general public doesn't see.
Oh, yeah.
But everything goes into it. It's not just on-field product.
Oh, yeah.
When I spoke to Alan about that, he was like, people only see 10%. But, the 90% that goes on, the preparation, everything leading up to the actual 90 minutes on the field is just as important.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It all runs it all has to work together.
It does.
It really does. Whether you realize it or not, such little details, the little most minute things, they can make the difference.
Yeah.
Mentally, physically, however it may be. These are very, very big tasks, essentially. It doesn't matter whether it's just getting groceries, right?
Right,
or just
exactly.
setting them up, in their rooms, whatever.
It all plays a
Getting
role,
them what they
an
need.
important
It
role.
all matters in the end. Providing that comfort and also that sense of professionalism for these players as well.
Absolutely. We have so many fun projects coming your way this season. We were just brainstorming a few, and not even formally, but once we sit down, once I get
It's gonna be
Sewell
a lot
also
of
in the
fun.
office, and we get all of our thinking braids on, it's going to be incredible. We're going to, I'm very excited. I won't reveal too much just yet. But like we said, Brevard, it's on the 14th. It's going to be here before you know it. And then, of course, the friendly will provide a great platform for the boys to get familiar with themselves on the field against some proper opposition.
Yes.
Because, of course, once you step on the field for a game, it's completely different,
Oh, yeah.
even from training. We think
yeah.
training is a high level. Once they step on the pitch, it's a completely different beast. But, yeah, 14th is going to come very soon against Brevard, which we did have success against last year. But like Fabio said when we had our podcast, each team, it's not just us working months prior to the season. Every team will be working to be at a higher level than they were last year.
Of course.
So it's going to be interesting to see how they also play a role, see how the Southeast Division shapes up this year. Of course, last year it was us and Brave at the top. Then we kind of had Gainesville and Florida Elite. This year, Sporting Jacks. And then, of course, Brevard and Brookhouse. But it's going to be an incredible season. The same opposition, same 12-game schedule, but it's going to be great. It's going to be great. In 2025, NONA FC is just about to get started. So day one ticked off.
We got how many more days left?
Just 3 before the friendly. And then just a week from Wednesday, which hopefully this episode will be out by then, we'll have our home opener, so it's going to be great. It's going to be great. Very exciting stuff.
Yes.
But that about wraps up the NONA FC news for today. We still have European football to catch up
Yes,
on.
we do.
We have huge semifinals coming up. Champions League, Europa League, and yes, we'll also talk Conference League, so stay tuned for our last segment this week.
Something new, something fresh. Yeah, I'm super obsessed. Let me know when you done messing. A little that, a little this, then you put it to the test. It's all in the expression. It's a mood, it's a vibe, it's a state of mind. And now I want it more. It's a mood, it's a vibe, it's a state of mind. Okay, you got the floor. It's looking good. I kinda like that. I kinda really like that. It's looking good. I kinda like that. Come on, let's see some more. It's looking good. Keep it going, get it right. Not a trouble inside. You can't argue with perfection. Ooh, you working something up with a little bit of luck.
And just like that, we have made it to segment 3 this week, Patrick, and we've covered NONA enough, I think, for this week. Let's go over to the professional scene over in Europe. We have semifinals, like I said, in all 3 tiers of European competition. Why don't we start at the very top, at the Champions League, and we're going to go straight to Paris because they host Arsenal. Now, they went to the Emirates Stadium, Dembele scoring a great finish, 1-0 early on at the Emirates. Arsenal just couldn't find our groove. We could not find the breakthrough. PSG have a 1-0 lead going into the second leg, and they'll feel very confident because I have to admit it myself, dominated proceedings at the Emirates Stadium.
Yeah, and Arsenal, very, very disappointed by their performance for
Yes,
that first leg, especially
yes.
at home. More than anything at home. So now they have to travel away, go to Paris, get a result there for a shot at making the Champions League final. That's super, super intense for Arsenal.
It's huge.
I think. It's huge. I think there's a lot of pressure on this game now, especially more so than I think their series against Real Madrid.
I agree.
Just a little bit. And
Because we're behind.
Yeah,
Against Real Madrid,
now-
we didn't suffer to the point that we fell behind.
Exactly.
We held our ground 0-0 at halftime, and then Declan Rice did his thing. Of course, we can't expect that each game, though.
course.
That
Yeah,
is
yeah.
just unrealistic. After our loss at home against Bournemouth, again, that's just coming from, in my opinion, just, having all of our focus and our
Yeah.
attention
Better
on that
to
game in
lose
midweek.
now.
I agree.
Then later.
I agree. Premier League is already over, like we talked about last week. But there was a banner at the Emirates Stadium that said, "Believe and bring us to Munich." From the fans.
It's gotta
Miles
happen. It's
Lewis
gotta
Skelly, after the Bournemouth loss, there was a picture of him, went over to the corner where the banner was on the stadium, and just stared at it for a good few minutes.
Chills.
It's giving me goosebumps, especially Miles Lewis Skelly, who at 18 years old, man, he's playing
Breakout
oh
season
my
for
goodness,
him.
straight into the deep end, has been incredible. But man, there's a lot of pressure riding on
There
this.
is, and not just for Arsenal though. I think for PSG as well,
Yeah,
because
I
you know
agree.
we've seen historically PSG, they're laughed at in Champions League.
Yeah.
rightfully so. You know,
So are we.
Yeah, yes,
That's
yes,
been
but
the
I would-
historic-
yes, absolutely. So this is kind of a battle of who doesn't fumble the bag.
No,
right?
yeah, for sure.
But PSG, I mean, they're also a pretty wicked force this year. You know, we've seen
2025
the
has
players
been unreal.
You know, I remember at the, near the beginning of the Champions League season, at least, we were like, oh, like they're doing PSG stuff, whatever, right? We're not expecting too much. You see them knock
Struggled
off.
in the group phase.
Yes.
Yeah.
See them knock out Liverpool.
Mhm.
Oh, where did that come
That
from?
was an
That was
eye-opener.
very much so.
Yep.
You know, we see them advance, take care of business even more. Now they play Arsenal, take care of business away, 1-0.
Mhm.
Things are looking legit for PSG. And they could be
Yeah.
legitimate title contenders for this Champions League year. But can they handle the pressure of being one game away from going to the final?
And
You know?
taking a 1-0 lead into that.
Of
Because
course.
it just reverses for PSG.
Yeah.
Like you said, they've only made it to one final. And it was COVID year. It was against Bayern. And if you look at it as a whole, you think, ooh, COVID year where everything was different.
Right.
Maybe this is their chance. And they fumbled there in the final 1-0 against Bayern. But, just looking at the team overall, it's a proper team.
It
We've
is.
spoken
It is.
about
Yes, it
them
is.
going a different route from the Messi, Neymar, Mbappe. It has worked out for them so far. That's safe to say. One of the players, though, apart from Vitinha and João Neves and Barcola, and who hasn't started, it's been Dembele, Kvaratskhelia, and Doué has been
Yeah.
the front three that Luis Enrique has gone for recently. But we have to talk about Gigi Donnarumma in goal. Because just a few years ago...
PSG probably wouldn't be
No.
in the tournament right now.
Not at all.
Because of that Liverpool game.
Liverpool and then Villa, I would argue as well.
Yes,
Just as important.
Absolutely, and Villa.
And at home against Arsenal, away at Arsenal. Also, just huge performances by Donnarumma, who just a few years ago we were like, ooh, is he going to live up to the expectation? Of course, being the heir to Buffon, essentially, in the Italian landscape at least. But this year in the Champions League, also in
beast.
Ligue 1, okay. I mean, he got the cleat in the face, if you remember, away at
Yes,
Monaco.
yes.
Bounced back like nothing. He has been a warrior this year, and I think has been one of the most important players for PSG.
Absolutely, and if PSG do end up winning the whole thing, I think we have to give more credit to Donnarumma, because without him, they wouldn't be here right now. Now, let's look at who we believe can potentially go through the
Don't
second
ask me that
leg.
question.
I know, it's still very close.
It's possible, though. And
Very.
people have said, oh, it's over. It's not. Even though we have to go to Paris, even though it's going to be a hostile environment, they're going to make the Parc des Princes a horrible place to play at. I think the fact that we kept it at 1-0 in the first leg is huge. And I think that might just... It left the door open, 100%. Do I think we'll go there and win? As an Arsenal fan, of course, I think. Of course. Yes, we're going to go there and score 3 goals like we did at the Bernabeu. I don't know. It's going to be very tough.
It's gonna be very
I think
tough.
PSG go into this with, I'll give them a 60-40 advantage.
Really? Okay. Yeah, no, I kind of agree. I think Arsenal, I don't expect them to necessarily win in the most amazing, fun.
Well, it's going to be an
entertaining
ugly
fashion.
game.
It's gonna
I
be
expect it to be an ugly
it's going to be
game.
an ugly one.
Yeah.
I do think it could potentially go to extra time. I
agree.
I do see us finding the end result in extra time.
Well.
Maybe just a 1-0, take it into that, extra time. See what happens there. I think from there on out, it's unknown waters.
If we perform the same way at the Emirates, no chance.
Right.
the whole team has to perform at least 25% better than they did at the Emirates. We spoke about the fact that the club has made a big deal of these occasions. Rightfully so. You know, we haven't enjoyed times like these in the Champions League for a while, so I guess you can give us a pass there. However, you know, it's just been tough also to live up to those expectations. Like I said, against Real Madrid, we didn't have to suffer. 5-1 on aggregate, job done. Against PSG now, it's backs to the wall. We'll have to see how it goes, but I think if the whole team shows up, if we need a better performance from Edgar, need a better performance from Saka. He was relatively quiet, largely in part to PSG's defense being huge. I think Thomas Partey being back is another key. If we are to succeed away at Paris. People say if Thomas was playing at the Emirates, Dembele wouldn't have had the space and the time to take that shot. And I fully agree. He has been a monster in the midfield for us. So for him to be back, it gives me more confidence. But I'll agree. We'll take it to extra time, and hopefully we'll be in our second final ever.
We'll see what happens.
Sounds
We'll
good.
see what happens.
Sounds good. If you don't hear from me after the game, you know what happened. I will be MIA for a few days.
We'll find out soon.
Straight on Do Not Disturb if we lose. But looking at the other semi-final, Barca 3, Inter 3, I don't think we expected that.
No.
Heading into
I
the first
expected
leg.
kind of the reverse, you know, reverse results. I expected
KG.
Barca like 1-0. Take it to the San
Got
Siro,
the
right?
opposite.
No. So
Got the opposite.
So now for me that raises questions. Are Barcelona potentially, did they underestimate Inter, you think? Is their defense capable? You know? Is Inter's defense capable?
Sure.
You know?
We spoke about their poor domestic form.
It's interesting. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's posing a lot of questions like, oh, Inter has, you know, immovable defense, right? Offense on lock. Barcelona, their offense can just tear through anything, which they still did, you know, scoring 3.
Yep.
But they also still gave up 3. So now it's like, which direction do you even go with this series, right? I genuinely, I still think I'm gonna have Barcelona go through.
I agree.
I do think they'll still just edge them out at San Siro.
I think the question is, and we've seen, and I don't think they deserve to be doubted on.
No.
But can Barca's youth handle the European night, the semi-final second leg pressure, which arguably they haven't really experienced up to this point? Yes, they've experienced finals. Yes, they've experienced other things, but Champions League semi-final second leg, like I said, it's going to be a whole different test. They're going to need Yamal, which I think will show up comfortably. Rafinha, Ferran Torres. I think Barca have the edge here.
I think they still do, just barely.
Yeah.
I still think they can.
Even if Thuram scored a ridiculous goal to open the scoring. I mean, nonchalant, little flick, 1-0, and Inter just kind of jumped in the lead surprisingly. But then we see what Yamal did.
Oh, just dancing.
Carrying it from the sideline, right? Hugging the touchline when he started the play, wriggling through at least 4 defenders, and then the finish. It is ridiculous.
Just floats in.
Ridiculous. So like, I think, yes, they're going to need, again, big nights from all those players. For Inter, though, conceding 3 goals, something they're not really used to, well, that kind of, flustered them a little bit.
Yeah, I think it does. Just because they're like, they're not as strong defensively as they probably would have liked to be, as they expected to be. You know, that we've seen all Champions League campaign at least.
And rightfully expected from them.
Right. But now, again, like you said, you look at their domestic season over the last couple of weeks, it's been pretty rough.
It's been rough.
So
Napoli now in the driver's seat for the Scudetto.
It feels like Inter potentially could have lost out already on the Scudetto. And now it's like, where can they really go from here, almost? And it's at a bad time. Because now they're playing Barcelona.
At the worst time.
So I'm sure there's a lot of lingering doubts about their capability, but they have to understand that, okay, the same thing could happen at home.
Yeah.
Still gotta, whatever, trade a lot of goals to each other. It's an interesting...
It's going to be an incredible second leg.
It's a very interesting series, because I'm not sure whether... I was going to say whether Barcelona are going to be able to do it away in Italy. But, I mean, you just look at the domination they've had over practically everybody else this year.
We've talked about it being their year this year.
Yeah.
And I don't see that ending. Seoul wants us to say Barca are going to win 10-0. But I do think they'll go to Italy and win.
Yeah, I do think it'll still be probably they'll trade off a lot, I think.
And we can't forget, they have an El Clasico as well waiting for them. So it's not just Inter fighting for the league. It's going to be also Barca having an eye, inevitably, on that Real Madrid game, which if they win, La Liga's probably wrapped up. And so, but they're going to want to make sure they're in that Champions League final because they've been so dominant this year on all fronts.
It'd be kind of surprising not to see them there.
Oh,
That's why that first leg was so like, whoa, like 3-3.
Yeah.
How did they give up 3?
I agree. I agree. That's the perfect way to sum it up. It'll be surprising not to see Barca in the final. I think they'll be the favorites.
Yeah.
And so what are we saying? Champions League final. Arsenal-Barca?
I'd like to see Arsenal-Barca.
But it could very well be PSG-Barca.
It could very well
and
be
that
PSG.
either matchup, we can't count Inter out as well. It's going to start 0-0.
Of course.
But I do think Barca make it from that. I really do hope Arsenal make it out of the first semifinal we talked about.
Couple days.
And then we'll have a repeat of the 06 final. Hopefully a different result, though. Let's move to Europa League, right?
Oh,
because
yes, I forgot about that.
we have 14th and 16th in the Premier League.
Tottenham and United.
Potentially in the final already. Let's start in Bilbao.
Pretty much already.
Where the final of the Europa League will be played. Athletic Club Bilbao had an incredible atmosphere. Before anyone made it to the stadium, the fans were going crazy outside. Right before kickoff, it was incredible in the stadium. 3-0 to Manchester United is an embarrassing result.
Wasn't it by halftime?
By halftime. And it could have been 4 because there was an offside goal.
Exactly.
How did this happen?
Could the occasion have gotten to their heads?
Yeah, maybe.
It could have truly been one of those instances.
And by the way, Bruno Fernandes, not his biggest fan, but he showed up.
I mean,
he showed up.
So I think it could play a couple different things here at the factor, right? Bilbao, I think they maybe just got in a little bit over their heads, right?
I think so.
Like, home advantage. The final's going to be at home, surely. United, they're doing terrible this year. But I think United know they're doing terrible this year.
Yes.
And all they have to play for is Europa League. So they don't care about the league. They don't care what happens there.
Amarim has admitted that. Yeah. He's going to play the kids in the Prem. We saw them lose 4-3 away to Brentford. They were 4-1 down at one point in that game. There's a possibility they finish 17th in the Premier League.
Right.
But then there's a possibility, a huge possibility, if they get through Bilbao, we'll talk about the other semifinal, they would be the favorites in the Europa League final.
Yeah,
I did not think I was going to say that this year.
No, not at all. And I hate to admit that, but yeah.
Same.
Very true. Because it's just like, really? United? Really?
The thing for me is that they might get rewarded for the season they've had. Which in Europe, it might be deserved. Fine. We saw the trouble they got in against Lyon as well. That was by no means an easy...
Final minutes that they just managed to pull through. But man, even still, United, they've just been a disaster. I mean, to be fair, this isn't, nothing new, right?
No.
But this year was especially bad. So to see them still in this position is very interesting.
Yeah.
And similar to Tottenham. Let's go to Tottenham. Tottenham and Bodo. Tottenham, similar position. Very, very, very rough year. Very
poor
rough.
In the Premier League.
Let's think about that. They're lucky, both teams, that this year the teams below them were just horrible.
Yep.
Even worse. Otherwise, they would genuinely still be fighting
in a relegation fight.
Isn't
that ridiculous
they're just lucky
to say?
enough that everybody below them was even worse.
Yeah.
They were fine, sitting at 17, 16, whatever. So you look at Tottenham. They take this first leg at home, 3-1 against Bodo Glimt. Now they're going to travel away to Norway. Correct?
To Norway.
Which is very, very interesting.
To play in the Arctic Circle, we can't, again, underestimate that. Bodo sit within the Arctic Circle, have an artificial pitch. Since they played in European competition.
Entire population doesn't fit. Doesn't even fill up the Tottenham Stadium.
If that doesn't give you a perspective on this, it's crazy. It really is. Since Bodo have played European competition 2020, at home, they are exceptional. 25 wins, 1 draw, and just 5 losses. They've knocked out teams like Roma in the past. Lazio, yes. I mean, back in the Europa League, I believe they beat us when we went there. Or it might have been Östersunds, either one. Still in the Arctic Circle. Anyway, but Bodo, man, I mean, 2 goals within it. We talk about Bilbao not really having a chance.
At least
we give Bodo a chance? I give them a chance.
At least they scored, Yeah. They can have... this could very well be one of those games where it's just the most insane, horrid football to watch, right? But they can come away with 2 scrappy goals, tie it up,
Yes.
take it extra time,
Honestly, yes.
use their, quite literally, the environment they're in, freezing,
Mm-hmm.
Norway, rough field.
Listen, man,
Like,
I give
it has
Bodo
all
a
the
proper
makings-
chance here.
It has all the makings for a insanely entertaining for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
I'll
I'll put it this way. I don't trust Tottenham at the slightest.
Yeah, I think
I don't trust them.
I still think Tottenham are going to go through to the final. I still have them. But if everything aligns properly, it'll go Bodo's way.
Yeah.
You know
I
what I'm
agree.
saying?
Listen, I don't trust them taking even a 2-0 advantage to Bodo. I don't. Yes, they knocked off Frankfurt in the last round, just 1-0 in Germany. But look, I mean, Bodo are going to just, live this occasion to the maximum.
Oh, yeah.
They've never
absolutely.
been in this position
course.
to be a game away. Yes, 2 goals down, but a game away from playing European final. I mean, I don't think they'll. That'll work towards their advantage, in my opinion. I do think so. Am I saying Bodo will go through? Kind of. But wouldn't it be crazy? But either way,
Oh, yeah.
to have a European final, if Tottenham see it through, 14th against 16th in the Premier League, kind of just shows the strength of the Premier League, doesn't it?
Oh,
In kind of a
yeah.
weird way, but it
Yeah,
does.
very much so. I mean,
Compared to the rest of Europe.
yeah. That's whether that's an unfortunate reality or not.
Exactly.
That's debatable.
Exactly.
Right? Because we see, just sure they spend a lot more money,
Mm.
whatever, but still got to play the games.
Yeah.
Still got to play who you got. You
Hey.
know. And Tottenham, they're my only hope to stop Manchester United. I don't want to see United win. So I'm gonna back Tottenham all the way through.
Oh my
Honestly.
goodness.
I'm gonna have to. I'm sorry.
I'm not backing anyone. I'm backing Bodo Glimt all the way to make it to the final and to hoist the Europa League trophy in the air. It's going to be crazy.
Yes.
It's going to be an incredible... I do know which game I'm going to have on, though. It's definitely going to be Bodo against Tottenham and to see all the craziness that unfolds in Norway. But, hey, we'll have to wait and see. Again, I did not think I was going to say that Manchester United are the favorites for the Europa League. But that's the world we're living in.
Yes,
Let's
it is.
move over to the Conference League to wrap things up. We're going to start with Chelsea. 4-1 against Djurgården. They're
Yeah,
at home for the second leg.
They're fine.
They don't even have to play the second leg.
No, they don't. They're already through to the conference final.
It's been an easy road. I mean,
Yes,
we have to be
very.
real with this.
Very.
They have not been challenged in this
No,
competition
not
at all.
Not at all.
And so to potentially be in a final, okay, they'll be happy. They'll be, we can win a trophy here. But you look at the other side, I honestly don't think there's anything to talk about with Chelsea.
No,
It's done.
Yeah, no.
It's
They're-
done.
They're in the final.
They're playing Djurgården. I'm sorry. You made it to the semifinal. Well done, but it ends here. The other one, though. Betis
Betis,
against Fiorentina.
yes.
1 goal in it.
2-1.
In the second leg. It's going to be in Italy. If Chelsea come up against one of these two teams, I think Chelsea
have
are the
more-
underdogs here.
I think they'll have more of a challenge to almost be kind of like shocked. Like, oh,
Yeah.
where did this come from?
Yeah.
Oh, they were just on the other side of the bracket. You know?
Yep.
And for me, I've gotta go with Betis.
I
have
agree.
to-
I agree.
love the way they've been playing. They just seem to they're just very enjoyable to watch.
Yeah.
You know, and very entertaining. Fiorentina also they're one of those teams that you see consistently.
A perennial Conference
right,
League team
exactly.
now.
So
And I think they're happy in that level. But dropping the first leg is
It's-
huge.
again,
it's huge.
they're
But it's
still
a
in
tough
it.
place to go
Two-
for
two-
Betis.
Of course,
Yeah.
of course. So now look at the second leg. Betis have to go away, try to get that result. Fiorentina at home are gonna feel more comfortable. Even with 1 goal, they're back in it. Draw.
Yep.
Whatever. I don't really know. I mean, no, I do know. Betis are going to go through. I just do think Fiorentina are more capable of putting up a fight than
Yep.
what we saw for that first leg. Especially at home.
yeah.
They'll do better.
Sure, I agree.
They'll do better.
But not enough.
I don't think it'll be enough.
I don't think it'll be enough.
Just no.
I don't.
I think Betis just have a little bit too much quality.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, a little bit too much quality that they shouldn't be playing Conference League.
Mm-hmm.
But, of course, you have to play. That's where they ended up last year. Right?
I mean,
but
sure.
still.
I was going to say they're only 1 point behind the top 5 in La Liga, which is likely, like in the Premier League, to give you a Champions League spot. 5th place is what you're playing for many of these teams that are on the fringe. So if they don't, if for some reason they don't make it against Fiorentina, they'll look at La Liga and think, oh, we can actually get Champions League.
You can still end the season on a high note.
Yeah, absolutely.
But silverware is important.
It is.
I do think Betis are going to go through to the final, though. I think they'll take care of business away in Italy.
And then in the final, if you present to me Chelsea against Real Betis, I know who I'm going.
Betis? Yeah. It's got to be Betis.
Absolutely.
I just don't like watching Chelsea, so it's got to be Betis.
That's the spirit. That is the spirit. But wow, I mean, between Tuesday and Thursday, we know what we're going to be doing.
We will know all these results by the end of the week.
And we'll be able to preview the real finals on next week's edition. We'll be able to recap NONA FC against Current FC. Again, behind closed doors, so we won't be able to tell you too many details. But anyway, we'll have that going on. Girls tryouts? We'll know Elite 64 results.
Previewing against Braves.
Next week can't come any quicker. But that was a great episode, Patrick. Thank you very much for that. Very enjoyable. Again, make sure you tune in next week because we will have another loaded episode. But from everyone here in the NONA studio, thank you, Sewell, for stopping by, for giving that moral support. We will see you next week. Take care.